in. Yeah, okay. I kind of want something other than good to eat in there. That's what you like to eat in there. French fried potatoes.
Yeah.
How much you want for them?
Okay. And Kelsey, you're not leaving.
Ready?
Got about a minute and a half.
This is Carl Childers broadcasting live. Red River Ford Toyota over in Wynn, Arkansas. Fella wanting to see a city with a smile needs to come to Wynn. Miss Audrey over there looking nice in her Filson t-shirt. But all I seen was red. She's over there wearing one of my t-shirts without permission. So I picked her up clean side up the head with a Kaiser blade. Most folks call it a sling blade, and I call it a Kaiser blade, kind of shaped like a banana. Hello.
Look at that. Stuff.
Okay. Not ready?
Almost. You got about 30 seconds.
All right.
Are you ready? Okay, I'm turning you on. Go.
Okay, Rob Brown here with you on a Friday afternoon, broadcasting live from Red River Ford Toyota over here in Wynn, Arkansas. And we're in the war room where they do all the planning every morning. Justin Wynn, the general manager, is out this afternoon on assignment, but everybody else is here. I just talked to Nate and Cecil out on the floor. The sales staff is here. Austin Futrell is actually back there working on my truck, doing the oil service, and he's going to come in here and visit with us in a little bit. But remember, Red River Ford Toyota, open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Service department open on Saturdays, 7 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. midday. So they are open on Saturdays. Lot going on here. This is here it is, June 4th, so it's a new month. You can get the Broncos. You can get on the waiting list out to 2023. You also can get a Toyota Land Cruiser. They have been able to access those. This is the last year they're going to be in production here in the States, but you can get a Toyota Land Cruiser. RedRiverFordToyota.com on the website, 45 minutes from Memphis. Get off at I-40 at the Forest City exit, go north 15 minutes, and on Highway 64, if you're going back and forth to Heber Springs, especially this time of year. I know a lot of people are, like Perkins, Christianberry, and Cervetti, just to name a few. It's about a half mile south of Highway 64 across from Jordan's Exxon in Wynn, Arkansas. So a lot to talk about today. Again, we're going to have a round table on here today. Billy Roberts is going to be joining in a couple of minutes. Jimmy Hodge around 3:35, 4 o'clock. Gordon Ford going to be on here with us. And we're going to talk a lot today about, number one, June 1st was a big day, Tuesday. That was the first day that colleges could have visits on campus, official, go off campus. Let's just say that recruiting is back the way it used to be. The last 15 months, the lockdowns have hurt a lot of schools. In some schools, the best thing they offer is the on-campus visit. That's the total experience. That's all happening right now. So recruiting, and I don't know how much that's going to change the number of people entering the portal, whatever. There are a lot of projections now that a class of 25 that a college signs in recruiting might be 13 to 15 guys that you sign out of high school with another 5 to 10 out of the transfer portal. But I think one of the reasons so many guys transferred this past year is because of the virus, the lockdowns, the protocols, especially in the ACC. A lot of the college athletes didn't get to experience the normal college experience, going to parties, meeting people. You know, you're 18, 19 years old, you're away from home for a lot of people the first time, but you're on your own. You know, parents give you two things, roots and wings. You better start flapping, boy. But that's what happens a lot. And that didn't happen. So as far as bonding with that school and their classmates, and not just teammates, but their regular day in and day out interaction of going to class with other students, meeting your professors and all. That didn't happen for a lot of these student athletes. And I think a lot of them they didn't have any problem transferring. And there are a lot of advantages in staying at your school. That it's undervalued, okay? But we all hear so much about name, image, and likeness. It's here, okay? We're going to deal with it, but I don't think it's going to be as big of a, they're going to turn on the fire hydrant and just money's going to be just pouring out to every student athlete. You're going to have a couple of guys on most teams. You might have 5 or 6 on a program that's as hot right now as Ohio State or Alabama or Clemson, but it's not going to be as easy as you think. It never is, okay? Only easy day was yesterday or in your dreams, okay? But we'll be with you 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern time zone. Hey, we're going to talk about what we want to talk about on here, We're talking about mainly college football, basketball, baseball, talk about Memphis, talk about Sun Belt. We're going to talk about recruiting. But what we try to do is deliver information outside the box, okay? I will say this, the best website that you can go to just for all across the country. You're looking at 24/7 sports, and you're also looking when you get out there at The Athletic, okay? That's where so many, if not the majority of the great sports writers, Stuart Mandel, Andy Staples, Seth Emerson, they're all there at The Athletic. And Billy Roberts is on with us right now from over in Atlanta. And Billy, it's just daily reading. Look, I don't care. I know a lot of the newspapers have shrunk to the size of, dinner napkins, okay? And in some cases, that's about all they're really, worth or good for, okay? Unless your dog getting house trained. But look, the great writers, you cannot put enough of a value on a great writer. So if the papers are shrinking because of the web and advances on technology, social media, whatever, you still need to be reading. And the great writers, The Athletic, and again, the 24/7 sports websites, you need to be reading. Reading is like lifting weights with your brain. And Billy, guess what? I was at Publix down in Gardendale on the way back from Birmingham yesterday. Lindy's Sports, America's leading football authority, college football, the national 2021 preview. Okay, look at there. You've got Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn on the front cover, Cartavius Tank Bigsby from Troup County, Hoganville. He's on there. Matchie, the great receiver. Look, Alabama had 4 receivers a couple of years ago in the picture as they were walking out on the field, Billy, all first rounders. Jerry Jeudy, Deerfield Beach, Florida. Jalen Waddle out of Bellevue, Texas, or Bel Air, Texas, out near Houston. You had Henry Ruggs III out of Montgomery, Carver or Lee, and you had Devontae Smith out of Amite, Louisiana. Alabama, their receivers and the job they've done developing talent is why they just keep winning. And it's not luck. And people say, well, if a kid's being recruited by Alabama and he's offered, he goes up in the rankings. Well, that's been around as long. Any program that's hot, when they recruit a player, he may get bumped up. But they obviously know what they're doing when it comes to evaluating players. But also found Athlon Sports, the largest and most accurate SEC preview. And I can remember the 1982 Athlon's Top 100. Georgia had 8 of the top 100 players in the country. And of those 8, maybe a couple of them panned out. And I know one player who wasn't in that top 100, Vincent Jackson. But that's just the way it goes. It's an inexact science, but the top programs, Billy, they are loaded with talent. Typical year, you have 3,400 kids sign Division I scholarships on the 130 Division I schools. You might have 34 rated 5-star. This is how crazy it is. Combined Super Bowl rosters this year of Tampa Bay and Kansas City. You had 1 5-star on that roster. And he had basically been thrown overboard. And I'm talking about Leonard Fournette out of LSU, St. Augustine High School in New Orleans. And he could have been the player MVP in the Super Bowl. But, hey, Tom Brady's on that field. Hard to beat him out. But you know what? You better start with the top players. And out of 3,400, you might have 34 that are 5 stars, 350 to 400 that are 4 stars. The rest are 3s, 2s, and maybe not even rated. So you better learn how to develop. And if you have a couple of difference makers on each side of the ball in each recruiting class, after 4 or 5 years, that starts to really add up. And you look at, of the 28 playoff spots, Billy, in the 7 years of the college football playoff, 20 of those spots have gone to Alabama and Clemson with 6 each, Ohio State and Oklahoma with 4 each. So that's 20. Notre Dame, a couple. That's 22. The other 6 are Florida State, Oregon, Georgia, Michigan State, LSU, and Washington. The last team from the Pac-12 to make the college football playoff was Washington in 2016. They were defeated by Alabama over in Atlanta. But, hey, we're going to expand this thing to 8 teams, to 12, to 16. You know, if you did it with an 8-team playoff, or if you did it with a 16-team playoff, look, what would that be? 16 is what percentage of 130? What's about 12.5%? College basketball is almost 20% of the teams eligible make it to the NCAA tournament. Would it dilute the regular season? I don't think so. I mean, it might encourage. Good article in The Athletic today talking about it might encourage teams to go out and schedule bigger names in the non-conference football scheduling because they're not going to be worried about, that loss taking them out of the playoffs. But Billy Roberts, come on in here. Again, follow us on Twitter, at Sidelines_live, or on Apple at Sidelines_live. And that's Apple Podcast. It's always up there. Nigel puts it up on the website after every show. And that's sidelines.live. And remember, we have made some modifications, everybody. The top of the screen when you go to the website, www.sidelines.live, click on that red button. So easy. Even Jethro Bodine and Uncle Jed have texted me and said, this is real nice. But anyway, Billy, come on in here. What do you think about all these football magazines coming out and the preseason publications? No real surprises, but what do you think? Yeah. Yeah. Billy, you look back at how the word gets out, media coverage and all. So much today is done via social media. It could be Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, texting, emails, whatever. I had an opportunity yesterday to see my mentor on the journalism side is David Housel. And David launched a new book. It's his 7th book. And those of you that are watching here, we've got the camera up today. And it's a great book here, From the Back Booth at Chappie's. Stories of the South, football, politics, religion, and more. David Housel, forward by Rita Grimsley Johnson. They were classmates, worked for the Auburn Plainsman. And, you know, you can order these books from backbooth.com. That's backboothbook.com. And I think about Vince Thompson, my friend, the founder and CEO of Melt Atlanta Inc., that does the branding for Coca-Cola. They do ESPN Game Day, NCAA Final Four. Vince and I both were mentored and trained by David House, Buddy Davidson, Reba Gulledge, people in the Sports Information Office at Auburn. Back in those days, David and the team over there, Buddy Davidson, all the interns like us, would put out 2,500 to 3,000 mailings a week. And I go back, the first time I met Buddy Davidson was April 1981 at an Auburn baseball game. And Buddy is just over 700 consecutive Auburn games he's been to in football. Buddy said when he was talking with Howard Cosell before the 1971 season about Pat Sullivan and Ed Marinara from Cornell, the running back, Ed Marino, Marinara. I'm getting hungry. I'm thinking about sauces, Billy. But Howard Cosell said to Buddy Davidson, "How is Pat Sullivan from Auburn, isn't that in Atlanta, going to win the Heisman Trophy?" And Buddy that just strengthened Buddy's resolve. But Buddy Davidson, David Housel, Jack Sims, journalism professor at Auburn, they instilled in you, Billy, indent 5 spaces to the right. All your commas, your capitalizations, your semicolons, your colons, proper sentence structure. That stuff still matters today. But I'm going to tell you what, I started reading this book last night. David has the charm and the wit of Andy Griffin. And he knows everybody. And Rita Grimsley Johnson in the foreword to the book is talking about being in Barcelona in 1992 for the Olympics. And there's all these media people, they're sports writers from all over the world, all over the country. And these weren't just people from Alabama. They were from Georgia, Texas, in the Northeast, the Midwest, out on the West Coast. And David Housel's name came up. Oh, he's the greatest SID ever. He's the best. He knows everybody. But, well, they're not kidding. Went to the book signing, book launch for his new book yesterday at The Club up on the mountain in Birmingham. Maury Gaston was there. Saw former Auburn quarterback Neil Caudle was there. Man, I'm going to tell you what, just met some great people there. Bob Lockamy, you're going to hear a lot about him here soon. He's writing a book about Paul Feinbaum. We're going to have him on the show here soon. He was there from day one in 1988 with Paul. Incredible stories. But Billy, it's all relationships. And as we get in, so much is electronic. Don't ever forget the power of the relationship. And you look at it's that way in recruiting. It's that way in everything. But I really think after going there yesterday and getting to talk to David and all the people that were there, we all appreciate the stories, the relationships, and getting the word out. College football, it's going to be full on this fall. You're seeing more and more schools announcing we're going to full capacity. It's not being careless. It's, can't tread water forever. You got to start swimming back to shore, don't you? Yeah. Hey, here's another part on the back that's really neat. C.M. Newton was the man who made me stop hating Alabama. Competitive though he was, and he was competitive, especially against Auburn. He was always so nice, so sincere, and so kind, so caring, so genuine, so respectful. There was never anything false or fake about C.M. Newton. He was a great coach and an even better man, mentor, and friend. He would always come by, seek me out, really, to ask how I was doing, how my wife Susan was doing. Just a good, fine, decent man. How could I dislike this man? I finally realized just because of where he worked, I couldn't. C.M. Newton caused me to put away childish things and begin to think and act like a man. I shall forever be grateful. There's a picture of David and Kenny Howard and a bunch of the crew from the back booth at Chappie's Deli down there in Auburn, which is it's where they meet every morning for coffee. And I love the front page, the front cover of the book, Billy. It's David back at the back booth with a cup of coffee and his notepad, always writing notes. And he's got a New York Yankees cap there. And he talked about just these stories in here are absolutely, it's like each one of these could be an episode from the Andy Griffith Show. David, again, true Southern storyteller, again, knows everybody in the business. For years, he coordinated the NCAA Final Four. But at the end of the day, he's the most humble, genuine man. I think he's the most Auburn man living today. So, really cool. Holy Cross is where Gordy Lockbaum played his football. Yeah. No. Yeah, and look, another thing that was really neat to go back and when you read David's books, the stories are real, especially if you know David and have worked for him. And I did. I mean, he was like working for a Pat Dye or something. If you're one of his players, I mean, he was tough as nails, and he would get on to you, but come up and give you a hug afterwards and say, "Look, I'm just trying to make sure you get it right," and that's what you teach. And I think that. One thing, like, you watch Paul Feinbaum. I mean, he's amazing in the sense He's a writer, first and foremost. That's what he was trained as. Coming out of the University of Tennessee. He's from Memphis, graduated from White Station High School. He's proud to be from Memphis. And when he came to Alabama, 81, 82, he came in on fire. And he is a person that thinks about what he says because he's written it. That's what he does. And the great sports radio host, podcast, TV, most of them have a print background. So they don't go out and just say reckless things, hoping something will stick against the wall. There's been a lot of thought put into it, and they articulate their points. And that's what we need to get back. I know we do a lot electronically. Hell, we're doing it right now. Podcast, www.sidelines.live. Follow us on Twitter at sidelines_live. On Apple, Sidelines space live. Okay. But at the end of the day, we write. I read a lot. You read a lot. Jimmy Hodge is going to be on here with us in just a few minutes. He reads a lot. But you look at the content that's out there on the better shows, whether it's TV, radio, podcast. If you're doing radio, you better be strong on the podcast. And everything that's on radio now, with a lot of the people out there, they don't do radio. They're gonna get, it's gonna come through their phone. But the radio stations are smart. The good ones, they've got like Sports 56, WHBQ.com. We're on Saturdays, 96.1, 98.5, the new FM. They've got a website. Mike Brewer, Eli Savoy, Johnny Radio, the people there at WHBQ, Flynn Broadcasting, man, they're hot. They've got those social media websites going. And you've got to be able to get your message out there. Billy, you talk about flying across the country. Let's just paint the picture real quick before we go to a break. You get on the plane, 6 a.m. in Atlanta, and you've got to fly to LA or San Francisco for a meeting with Oracle. What do you do when you sit on the plane? Yeah, but and you, when you listen to podcasts, you can stop them when you want to and pause and go back. It's just like watching film and having that ability. You don't miss anything. But I'll think about when I listen to radio, podcast, whatever, I want to learn something. Okay. But we got to make sure that as a society, don't ever forget that a true journalist, it's not about getting it first. It's about getting it right. Accuracy, integrity. And, again, I'm so blessed to have been mentored by David Housel. And then Mark Murphy, Inside the Auburn Tigers magazine. Think about 1981. He started that magazine when Coach Dye got there. You look at, I just talked to Rodney Orr. He's feeling kind of poorly today. Hopefully he'll be back on with us here the next day or two. Tighter and cider. Right. What was the best way to learn something is to take it from your brain, write it on paper. And that application and that repetition is the mother of all skill, Billy. All right, look, we're going to take a quick commercial break here on the Friday edition of www.sidelines.live. We're broadcasting from Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. That's about 45 minutes from Memphis. Easy to get to. Check them out on our website, redriverfordtoyota.com. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Sidelines with you till 5 p.m. Central. Okay. Hey, Jimmy, we just went to a commercial. That was perfect timing. Yeah. We've been having fun. I was talking about Billy Roberts is on with me right now. We've been talking about Housel's new book and just talking about journalism. It's a great book, From the Back Booth at Chappie's, Stories of the South, Football, Politics, Religion, and More. And get that small hound off the table, Audrey. Come on. But anyway, that was really cool. And Maury told me we need to get Neil Caudle on the show. He said Neil had a great discussion with Housel yesterday about name, image, and likeness, and why he didn't transfer. Because he was behind Cam and also Barrett Trotter, but he held the field goal when they were snapped to win the national championship game. So, hey, if he'd have screwed that up, he would have been really well known. Oh yeah, that was beyond huge. Yeah, and Auburn's over there yelling at him, going, "Go, go, go!" But we were talking about just journalism and the way it's done, and just the importance of, I was just talking about Feinbaum. What makes him effective is that he writes, and that's why when he says something, he's already written it. And I think that the better sports radio show hosts and TV are typically have a print background, but more important than anything, you've got to be reading. But we come back, we're going to go in here and talk about, the football magazines. We're already seeing, some of the polls that have come out. Here's, Lindy's has got a top 10: Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas A&M, wow, Iowa State, Cincinnati, North Carolina, and Oregon. Kind of break down those teams about, what's the ceiling, because a lot of people can say, yeah, what's the ceiling for Cincinnati or Iowa State? Hell, Memphis has beaten Cincinnati 5 of the last 6 times they've played them, but Cincinnati and Houston get all the love when it comes to the American Athletic Conference. And then we'll just open it up for a just wide open discussion. So we'll have fun. How much longer, Audrey?
It's the Jones Orchard commercial, which it's a minute and a half long.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Jones Orchard, 90 seconds. Hell, okay. Well, we'll switch them around. I didn't mean to make it that long. Okay. So Jimmy, are you at a basketball tournament? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Rob.
Okay, here we go. Okay, what?
Stop.
5.
Everybody's got to stop.
Okay, Rob Brown back here with you on the Friday afternoon edition of Sidelines.live, broadcasting from Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. And Billy Roberts over in Atlanta, Jimmy Hodge up in Knoxville is joined here with us, and just kind of having one of our roundtable Friday afternoons. It's the summertime. It's June 4th, 2021, and football magazines are coming out. Okay, looking here at Lindy's, America's leading football authority, college football national preview for this season. All right, let's go over the top 10. Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, Ohio State. Number 6, Texas A&M, Iowa State, Cincinnati, North Carolina, and Oregon. Alabama, I think how can you argue with anyone putting them at number 1? Nick Saban, 14 years at Alabama, 6 national championships. Clemson at number 2, obviously replacing the number 1 pick in the draft, Trevor Lawrence. Number 3, Oklahoma. They've been to the college football playoff 4 of the 7 years. Georgia's been once, JT Daniels. Ohio State, they've been 4 times. So let's get started, and I'll throw it to you, Jimmy. Are you surprised at top 5? Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Ohio State. And then, Billy, get your answer. Yep.
loses in a really tightly contested affair, then they're not going to drown it.
I agree. Billy, you look at that. Georgia and Clemson, an hour apart. And this game means a lot because Clemson's won 3 national championships, all with high school quarterbacks from the state of Georgia. That's got to bother Georgia, and I know it does. And Georgia, if they can beat Clemson, will be in the driver's seat to play in the at least get to the playoffs. But if they lose, yeah, they're still going to probably be playing Alabama, and Kirby has been unable to beat Alabama. Georgia's last victory over Alabama was 2007. 2007, guys. That's you got to do better than that. And when you play them, you got to find a way. They've had some close losses. I mean, God, 2012, 2017. Last year in the first half, Stetson Bennett, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, played his butt off against Alabama. But unfortunately for them, Alabama plays 60 minutes of football, not just 30. But what do you think about that top 5, Billy? Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Ohio State. That's the Lindy's preseason top 5. All right, you look here, this top, okay, 6 through 10. Texas A&M, Iowa State, Cincinnati, North Carolina, and Oregon. What that's telling me is Cincinnati obviously is getting a lot of respect because of the job Luke Fickell's doing there. They've been winning 11 games a year lately, regularly. Texas A&M replacing 4 or 5 starters on the offensive line. Going to break in a new quarterback. What that's telling me is they're giving a lot of respect to the recruiting classes Jimbo Fisher and this A&M staff have brought in. This is year 4. And then Iowa State, Matt Campbell. What is the ceiling for Iowa State? How high can you go? North Carolina, Mac Brown, second time around in Chapel Hill. But he's got Howell, the quarterback. He's a stud. And they've played Clemson the last few years to the wire. Oregon. Okay, Mario. Yeah, if they're good offensive linemen, you want them coming back. But and then Mario Cristobal in Oregon, Now, they got into the Pac-12 championship last year, Oregon did, because Washington had virus problems, and Oregon played Southern Cal. And it doesn't seem like Clay Helton can do anything right as the Southern Cal head coach. And Oregon won the Pac-12 last year. Oregon, the recruiting classes Mario Cristobal keeps bringing in are SEC elite caliber classes. Kayvon Thibodeau, defensive lineman. I mean, Oregon has potentially 3 first-round choices in their front 7 on defense. So start with you, Billy. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Texas A&M, Iowa State, Cincinnati, North Carolina, and Oregon. What do you think? Well, it's week in and week out. Cincinnati's schedule is not the toughest, but they're Ohio's loaded with players. Luke Fickell came from Ohio State. He's doing a heck of a job there. But I think they've got to prove that they can beat a Power 5 opponent on I don't not just in a bowl game, but I'm talking about in the regular season. And if they do that, they're going to get a lot of respect around the country. Jimmy, your thoughts on that 6 through 10?
Last year in Norman, for a couple of calls. Big question of big.
Yeah, I agree. And Billy, along the lines of what Jimmy's saying, Oregon is building something really strong. And you go back to after Rich Brooks left after 94, 95 to '08, Mike Bellotti was there 14 years. And then you have 4 years of Chip Kelly. And then after that, Mark Halfrich, he was good and just went downhill every year. Now Mario Cristobal's there. How did Oregon go from, I know they have the Nike money, but they're a program that's in a state that doesn't produce a whole lot of Division I college football players. And they have become the team to beat. And look, Washington has a great tradition in football. Don James helped to build that, but most recently, Chris Peterson. And unfortunately, Chris Peterson stepped out of coaching. He's one of the best coaches in America, but he was at Washington. And then you got Clay Helton, and now Chip Kelly is at UCLA. And you go back and look at that rivalry over the years, the battle for Los Angeles. Both of those schools have really slipped, but Southern Cal does that. And all programs go through cycles. But look, staying out on the West Coast, Billy, do the people out there in the last year, there's been no high school football in California. They've been in a lockdown. Okay. I guess in like the movie Cool Hand Luke, California wanted to be different. So we're going to put them in the box till they get the head right. Okay. And that's California. What are the hopes of Southern Cal and UCLA, as well as Stanford and Cal, coming back in, being big time threats to Oregon in the next year or two, Billy. Yeah, in Southern Cal, Jimmy, Clay Helton, he was a dead man walking a couple of years ago. The athletic director basically said he was out the door, and it killed a recruiting class. If you can't recruit well at Southern Cal or UCLA, it's because you're not trying. There are football players, basketball players, baseball players. There's athletes all around you in a state with nearly 40 million people. Okay. All right. Let's get back here. A lot going on recruiting. June 1st, Tuesday. That's a big time. It's a date to remember because all around the country, colleges, coaches can get out on the road. They can recruit. We already know about the portal and all. And I'm just curious where we're going to go, guys, because I look at projections that schools might sign 15, 16 kids out of high school. And I know, Jimmy, you've expressed a lot of concern what this can do to hurt high school players that are trying to get a Division I scholarship. So you may have 15, 16 high school kids in a class of 25. Sometimes they're more than 25 because of the numbers, sometimes less. But let's say 25 as a solid number. And then 9 or 10, you might be getting out of the portal. And so essentially, you're going to take kids that were on a test drive at another school, and they get to play a little bit, but they're not playing enough. What I'm concerned about is how do you build any depth on a football team if every player that is second or third team, rather than work his way up the depth chart, just walks on you and enters the portal because he's not the starter. That's something we got to be very careful of, Jimmy. Yes. Yeah, I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. I mean, because college basketball, at last count, we had over 1,500 players enter. It's at 1,600 now. So you get about 350 that are eligible to go to the NCAA tournament. So that's over almost 5 players per team that have transferred out. Of course, as they say, the portal taketh away and the portal giveth. But overall, I think it will slow down. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing happen, especially as we go back to full capacity stadiums. Recruiting is going to go back to the way it used to be. And I think that's going to be a way coaches will look. There's always going to be cases where kids want to transfer. They're homesick, not getting enough playing time. It's not what they thought it was. So that's just something we have to deal with. But Billy, look, Gordon Ford's going to be on here with us in a minute, and so we're going to have a lot of fun with this. But Billy, I think the transfer portal will eventually collapse under its own weight. You cannot, no one in teams. It's just going to become an accepted standard. Like, you can't build a team with a bunch of guys that are emotional snowflakes and will leave if you crack the whip on them and push them hard in practice, can you? Yeah, and that's where we're going with it. And you will see kids say, I'm already noticing this. And Jimmy, you and Billy both, I think you're seeing it as well. If you read, you'll see it. Kids transfer once they leave a school twice. They go to that initial school, say in January, and during the summer, they leave again. And that's the trend. And you're going to see these kids. We're going to start getting some hard data in the next few years to see what the portal is doing. But it's like anything else. It's like what the portal reminds me a lot of is, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Or people in December, when they're stuffing their faces at the Christmas parties, just a couple more of these pork tenderloin sandwiches stuffed with a bratwurst and cheese in there, wrapped in 5 slabs of bacon. But I'm going January 1st. I'll be at the gym. Okay, that's what the portal is, guys. I mean, really, let's tell it like it is. And the portal's a lot like New Year's resolutions. Okay, first couple of weeks of January, the gyms are packed. All right, and third and fourth week of January, see who's around there. That is the portal. You're going to have some guys leave. I know George is all excited about Eric Gilbert, who was last year the number 5 or 6 player in the country out of Metro Atlanta. Okay. He says he's coming to Georgia. Hopefully he's going to have all his classwork, his credits in line. But he's dated a lot since he left LSU. He was married to LSU. He divorced LSU. He almost went back to LSU. But I really think the portal is a lot like people's New Year's resolutions, and they're at the Christmas parties or whatever. I'm starting January 1st. But in the meantime, you're going to gain another 15 pounds. I mean, come on. I'm telling you, good luck if you're trying to build a team off of a bunch of disgruntled snowflakes, for the most part, who have left one school to come fill your roster. It's all about developing, sticking it out, and manning up, okay? You're not a kid anymore. You're an adult. It's time to be a man. Jimmy? There you go. That's right. The great point. Yeah. 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 Just because you're in the portal does not mean that you're going to be picked up. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the big mistake a lot of people make is they say, well, it's just the way it is. No, 18 and 19-year-old kids don't run the world. And the reason that they keep pushing the envelope like this with name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal is you've got a lot of willing accomplices / enablers out there. This group of attorneys in California that, fair pay for fair play. Look, you're being silly. Okay. You can't, 18 and 19-year-old kids don't make the rules. I'll tell you what else is going to happen. Fans, what if fans start entering the portal? The team's not doing well. Well, I'm just not going to buy my season tickets. I'm just not going. I'm not going to the games. Well, you'll lose your priority seating. So I don't care. I'll go to some program that's hot. Okay. Like people that would sign up during a war back in the war between the states to get the bounty. They would just go sign up as many places as they could to get the bounty. I'm telling you, people listening, you think the portal is going to cure everything? It's not. Name, image, and likeness. There's going to be a handful of kids that get these contracts, okay? But they're not going to. It's just the portal is not going to cure baldness. It's not going to stop aging, and it's not going to make your team better overnight, long term. We already seen this with junior college? Now, Clemson arguably is, along with Alabama, the most successful football program in America the last 7 or 8 years. Clemson doesn't sign junior college players. I don't think they take transfers either. Dabo Swinney has building a great culture at Clemson. You know, you look at Jackie Sherrill. I'm a big Jackie Sherrill fan, but he went so heavy on the JUCO players when he was at Mississippi State, but long term, that did not help. So the portal, again, you see a guy you're getting, it's almost like you're excited, but who did you lose? I mean, what the portal is reminds me of whack-a-mole. Okay, hey, Jimmy, stay on with us, obviously, as long as you can. Billy Roberts is in Atlanta again. Jimmy Hodge in Knoxville. Gordon Ford working late on a Friday afternoon. This mild-mannered mortgage loan officer at the bank has joined us right now. And Gordon, talking about the transfer portal, and especially in basketball. Jimmy was talking about Coach K. He's going to step down after this coming season. Roy Williams, he decided several months ago, he's out. They see this train coming, and I think a lot of other people do. But, yeah, in basketball, you had Syracuse, 11 of the girls off the team transfer in one block. It's insanity is what it is. Now you kind of want something other good to eat in there. You got any French fried potatoes? Anyway, Carl Childers even thinks it's crazy. Gordon, what do you think about it? Wow. I mean, okay, you know what? The great players are not concerned about going to a team that has a lot of talent. What that kid's telling you, Jaquez Jones, is that he's not a fighter. I mean, Gordon, I don't know what else can you read into that. Yeah, and that is the problem. And you start looking out there at guys that are, that just tells you right there, he's got problems to just quit like that. Jimmy Hodge, are you still with us? Yeah. Okay. Let's do this, guys. We're going to let Jimmy is, I think Jimmy said he had to bounce off, but we've got Billy Roberts, Gordon Ford on here with us right now, and having a lot of fun doing our thing that we always do on a Friday afternoon, www.sidelines.live. Billy Roberts, along the lines of what Gordon just said, you had Jaquez Jones is leaving because Ole Miss brought in another player, and this guy felt like, well, he's going to get more time. I mean, that is sad that Jaquez Jones has that little confidence. Yeah, I mean, is it going to be, you think it's going to be easy up there with Stoops? I mean, Billy, what about that? Oh, there's always some, there's always some reason that they come up with. You know, I'm just, Billy, I'm not buying it. Billy Roberts in Atlanta, you still there? Yeah.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Let me, well, you think about, you know, you watch those documentaries about, say, basic training, Paris Island, South Carolina. You pull up about 11 o'clock at night in the big bus. The drill instructor gives you a nice, warm greeting. Welcome, gentlemen, to Paris Island. We're glad to have you. No, it's not like that. But I can't say those words because of the FCC protocols. But you get in there, and that first 36 hours, they're doing everything the Marine way. But you make that quick phone call, Gordon and Billy. And I did stories about this at Fort Benning in basic training at the home of the infantry there, basic training. They called it the reception station. And trust me, they were not serving sandwiches, tea, and lemonade. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Well, what you do, though, is you go you make a phone call. You just get in line. You say, hello, Mom, Dad. This is Billy. I'm at Paris Island Marine Corps Training Depot, South Carolina. I'm having a great time. I'm being well fed, and I'm glad to be here. Good night.
I remember.
That's it. And Audrey's over here. My wife remembers when her brother Kurt, 26 years in the Marine Corps, hoorah! He called up and he said, "Hi, this is Kurt. I'm at Paris Island Marine Corps Training Depot, South Carolina. I'm here with all of my friends. I'm having a great time. I'm being fed well, getting plenty of rest. The drill instructors love me and care about me. I will talk to you soon." Click. I mean, you know, that basically, if these kids that are entering the portal, let's just be honest, okay? I've got 3 kids. Y'all got kids. You know, Audrey, I've got a stepdaughter, went to Alabama. Great girl. Let me say this. It's like when you remember Billy and Gordon when you went away to camp in the summer? Hell, I was so wild as a kid. I'd go to Camp Deerwood for 3 weeks in the summer, get home on a Friday afternoon. This is camp. You should go to that camp up in North Carolina, outside of Asheville, in an old town called Brevard, North Carolina. 3 weeks, guys. Get home Friday afternoon, have Saturday off, and then Sunday morning, Troop 86, we'd meet in the parking lot over at Second Presbyterian Church in Memphis, Troop 86, and they'd send us off to Camp Cherokee, not Camp Kaikima, which was the nice camp, but Camp Cherokee. 2 weeks out in the wilderness up in Arkansas, the South Fork, the Spring River. We had to cook all of our own meals for 14 straight days, self-sufficient. You know, there are a lot of times kids wanted to get on that phone and call, and, you know, you're homesick or whatever. I remember going through that. You know what my parents said? Suck it up, man up. If we come get you, you're going to quit everything tough the rest of your life. That's what the portal is doing, guys. You're teaching these kids, And I don't want to hear all the excuses, okay? Hold on a second. Yeah, Mr. Krabs is over here, guys, from SpongeBob SquarePants. Well, let me get the world's smartest violin out here and play a little tune for you. Hey, you know what? Nobody cares. Suck it up, man up. I'm just saying, I saw Neil Caudle yesterday at the club in Birmingham at the book signing for David Housel's new book from the back booth at Chappie's. Neil Caudle, Billy and Gordon, he had Cam Newton in 2010. Remember him? Pretty good quarterback. And then you had Barrett Trotter. You had Neil Caudle. He wasn't the starter, but he stuck it out 4 years. Tommy Tuberville signed him. He finished with Gene Chizik. Josh Harris, walk on. Sigma Nu, Carrollton, Georgia. Snap. Here's the snap. Neil Caudle caught that ball, laces out, held it, and Wes Byram from St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale kicked the winning field goal for Auburn to beat Oregon, 22-19 for the national championship. But you know what? He didn't transfer. He didn't quit. He hung in there, and he fought. He's working for Brassfield Gorey in Birmingham. Saw Neil Caudle yesterday. He's the one of the main guys building the new football stadium on UAB's campus. Okay? That's why you stick it out. And everybody respects the fact that he did that. Because if you're going to quit in football or basketball, guys, because something's tough, you're going to quit your job. Gordon, you know that. Billy, you know that. Hey, let's hold the thoughts. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're broadcasting live from Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. We're back in the war room, Audrey and me. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. That means tomorrow morning, the service department is open 7 a.m. on Saturday till 12:30. Austin Futrell, Mike, Rob, Daniel, Patrick Wilson, great group of guys. Wynne, Arkansas, 45 minutes from Memphis. Get off at the Forest City exit, go north of I-40 about 15 minutes. And if you're on Highway 64, south of Highway 64, across from Jordan's Exxon, Red River Ford Toyota. They've got all the Ford trucks, cars, SUVs, all the Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. If you're looking to get a Ford Bronco, get on the waiting list now, up to 2023. Toyota Land Cruisers. This is the last year in the States you can buy them. They can get you one, and they deliver. We got fans listening all over the place. Sidelines.live. They will deliver. In the last 3 weeks, Justin's taken new vehicles to Dallas, Birmingham, Nashville, Atlanta, and Little Rock. Okay, they'll go anywhere. Check them out. Get the process started. RedRiverFordToyota.com. If everything lines up, T's are crossed, I's are dotted, punctuation, everything right. It's a note to David Housel, my journalism mentor. You can be off the lot when you get here in 20 minutes or less. Again, they're open till 6 p.m. tonight. And again, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sidelines with you till 5 p.m. We got Gordon Ford in Memphis, Billy Roberts in Atlanta, Rob Brown here at Red River Ford Toyota. Be right back. Hey, Gordon and Billy, y'all talk for a second. I got to run to the restroom real quick. But I think that the portal is a lot like, remember when you were at camp and you wanted to come home? Oh, suck it up. This is just, yeah. 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 Gordon, you agree with that? I love it. That Billy, it's the participation trophy crowd. Whoop. Yeah. Well, I think that's why I think it. Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to come back. We're going to talk about building teams and stuff like that. Y'all talk for a second. I'll be right back. Oh, man. I was hoping Austin could come in.
Yeah, it sounds like he's out there on the playground. Like, that's what you do.
All right. Man, but yeah, when you were traveling out here, yeah. Hey, all right, how much time?
A minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, a minute 30. Okay. Yeah. Now, Gordon, I mean, I thought that was great. Billy, last Saturday, Gordon got us hooked up with his friend Kermit Davis, the basketball coach at Ole Miss, of course. And, you know, the coaches, I mean, they hate this. I mean, it's just, you know, you'll see a player. I just don't get too excited when I see, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. I love it. That's buddy of mine, Tony Delgado. It just listen. Okay. Hey, man, I'm going to say it. This is a buddy of mine. He's listening out in Crested Butte, Colorado. And he just said, man, he just sent a voicemail. He just said, man, I love it. Letting up, y'all giving those wimps hell because they're not man enough to stick it out. I mean, that's just, you know, that's just what it is. And I just think it's when people say, well, you know, that's just the way it is. These kids, these bullshit. You know, you can't let 19-year-olds run the world. And that's and the reason why we got this problem. Y'all are right. It's the participation trophy crowd, and it's nothing good. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, Rob, you about ready?
Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Just a second. Okay, Rob Brown back here with you on a Friday afternoon, broadcasting from Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. Open again until 6 p.m. tonight, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., 6 p.m. Check them out on our website, redriverfordtoyota.com. And hello, Tony Delgado, listening on the Sidelines.live website. Great friend of mine in my Curcio group, DeColoris, Tony. And he's listening on the www.sidelines.live. And after a lot of input from listeners, Nigel, we've simplified that website, and there's a big red flashing button on the top that says "Listen Live Now." And what we're trying to do is make it easy. You know, hey guys, remember Kurt Cobain's song back in the mid '90s? Here we are. Complicate us? No. Confuse us? I don't think so. Here we are. Entertain us. We're here to entertain you and to fill your brains with copious amounts of information. One of the smartest people I know, two of the smartest people I know, Billy Roberts in Atlanta, Gordon Ford in Memphis are with me right now. Gordon, let's talk right now. We know Coach K is stepping down. 40 years, 5 national championships, I believe 7 gold medals. And someone's going to have to come in there and replace him. And we were down in Birmingham yesterday. Great question on the 3-man front, which is a great show on Jocks down there in Birmingham. Pat Smith, Landrum Roberts, and Cole Kubelik. Here's a question. I'm going to throw it at you first, Gordon Ford, and then Billy. Who's going to be the tougher one to replace when he retires? Coach K, 5 national championships, 7 gold medals, 41 first-round draft picks in the NBA draft in 41 years. If he wins 30 games this year, that'll be 1,200 victories in his career for Coach K. He's only 74, I think, so he's got a lot of life left in him. He ain't going to be sitting around, okay? Or Nick Saban. We know what Nick Saban's done, but which one will you think will be tougher to retire and replace once they retire? I don't even hear a follow-up. And I agree. Yeah. No. Hey, let me add another thing to why Nick Saban will be the toughest one to replace. In 13 of the last 14 seasons, Nick Saban has had at least one assistant coach leave to take a head coaching job somewhere else. Okay. I'm not saying, yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. I mean, and again, keeping Alabama at the top, it's just absolutely, remember, that first team he had in 07, he wanted to get rid of a lot of those players, but in fairness to the rest of the players, he couldn't, because then they wouldn't have had much of a roster. But once his way of doing things became the culture at Alabama, remember, 97 to 07, that 11-year period, which included Nick Saban's first year at Alabama. In 8 of those 11 seasons, the Tide lost 5 games or more. Okay. You've got to fill your roster with people that believe in what you're doing. In Alabama, they've got players. You look at the blue chip index, and I refer to this a lot, but it's an indicator of 4- and 5-star players on your roster in a given 4-year cycle. Alabama's number 1 in the country at 83%. Georgia's number 2 at 82%. Number 3 is Ohio State at 80%. Right after that, you got LSU, Florida, Clemson, Auburn, Michigan, Penn State, Texas. But those programs, look at Texas. They haven't been to the college football playoff. Auburn hadn't been to the playoff. Okay. Texas A&M hadn't been to the playoff. It's about roster management and player development, guys, isn't it? You know, you can't develop the players that you have. Your long-term prospects for being successful diminish immediately, don't they, Billy? Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, Bill O'Brien, Gordon, coming from the NFL. I mean, he really, Bill O'Brien doesn't get enough credit for what he did after the nightmare with Jerry Sandusky and Joe Paterno's exit in 2011 at Penn State. That program could have easily slipped into the abyss of hell. and he had walk-on offensive linemen. He had he kept that program together. James Franklin has come up there, albeit last year was a disaster because the Big Ten and Kevin Warren, their commissioner, just waited forever and a month of Sundays. Yeah. No, go on because that, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. My grandfather taught law and was a judge. But I'll say this, NCAA has no subpoena power. And they initially took away 152 victories from Penn State football. And they hit them with a financial, yeah. Well, I mean, you remember the, yeah. Yes. Well, look, what's even crazier is remember the big financial fine, guys, that they put on Penn State? I mean, it was a massive penalty. The NCAA, after that, and the way they handled the North Carolina situation in, basketball and the classes that were being offered, Miami, I don't think the NCAA is interested in handing out penalties, punishments, whatever, to member institutions now, because they know that they've got to feed this machine, this monster that we've created. So that's critical. Looking over here now, guys, you got the SEC baseball tournament going on right now. And I'm going to be having, hopefully later this month, we're going to have SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey on the show with us. Also made contact with the professor, Phil Steele. Their publication, which is just the Bible when it comes to preseason publications, should be going to press about mid-June, guys. And the preseason football magazines now, it's like they're accompanied by the website, because the portal being what it is, guys, coming and going a million miles an hour. But again, I think that's all going to settle down. Okay, let's switch gears now, and let's talk about right down here in Dixie. Sidelines, we like to say we cover Dixie like kudzu and cotton. All right. Again, follow us on Twitter at Sidelines_live. Follow us on the Apple Podcast, Sidelines Space Live. Our great webmaster, Nigel Price, puts us up there on all the shows within about an hour. If you miss it, all the shows are up there on podcast. I want to say hello to our listeners all over the place. And I got a nice compliment from the commander, Alan Ferguson, dear friend of mine, 32 years in the Navy Reserve, been deployed multiple times. Thank you so much for your standing up for freedom. Last weekend we celebrated Memorial Day. We have Veterans Day, but Memorial Day is when we remember all the men and women made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And the best T-shirt I've seen is the one that my wife Audrey wears, America, land of the free because of the brave. A special salute out to all of our military, and prayers forever for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for their families, for the Gold Star moms. And I'll tell you, guys, I have a really good friend who had a lady come into his shop. I'm not going to name his name. She needed some work done on the car. And he noticed when he was talking to her, the back license plate. It was she was a Gold Star mom. She'd lost her son in Afghanistan. She came back in a couple of days later and said, "This is all I've got." And he said, "Well, that's what it'll cost." She said, "Why are you doing that? You don't even know me." She was in tears. And he just pointed to the cross up above him. They're good people in this world, folks, and don't ever forget that. But I want to say thanks to all of our listeners. to all of our sponsors. We are here to serve. Sidelines.live. And Audrey, you better come get the small dog because she's about to step on the microphone up here in the where we're doing the show. But let's get back in here, guys. I think with what's going on right now, we're looking at full capacity coming into this college football season. The SEC championship, the kickoff classic. Billy, you know, Gary Stokan and Chick-fil-A, along with Chevrolet, in the last 50 years, they are as good as it gets as far as corporate partners are concerned. You look at Gary Stokan, the College Football Hall of Fame down in Atlanta. We were there a couple of times back in March. Be down there again in Atlanta next week. Last year, when the 3 games, September 5th, 7th, and 12th, were canceled, that cost the city of Atlanta over $100 million. How excited are the people down in Atlanta? Because, hey, Gordon, Ole Miss is going to be the kickoff game, first college football weekend from Atlanta. This is big stuff. But, Billy, how geared up and jacked up are people in Atlanta to start us back on the right path of packed stadiums, full capacity college football 2021? And Gordon? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and Auburn was supposed to play North Carolina, and then when the ACC did what they did, they said, well, you can come play us in Chapel Hill. But, I mean, and, you know, I wish Auburn would have gone to Chapel Hill. Why not? You know, if you're – to me, I think way too many teams play scared. Coaching staffs play scared. So, Gordon, are you going to be over there for the opening weekend of – it's also opening weekend of yeah. I mean, Gordon, let's look at Ole Miss football. Lane Kiffin, you know, we talked about, you know, the portal. Look, every school's dealing with it. It giveth, it taketh. All right. What Ole Miss beat number 7 Indiana in the bowl game. That was a big win. Indiana, number 7 in the country. Now, this is football. We're not talking basketball. Okay. Tom Allen is building something really special. He's from right up around Bloomington. I think a lot of people thought maybe he would take another coaching job last year, but he's doing a great job of building Indiana football. Okay. Ole Miss wins that bowl game. All right. They lost 53-48 to LSU there late in the year. But what are you looking for in year 2 from Ole Miss? And are you like me? Do you regard Lane Kiffin as one of the absolute best play callers in college football? And you got okay, good. Talk about the Rebels. Yeah, and I'm looking at, you know, Mississippi State. They're going to be coming up in September. I think the 18th, going to be playing Memphis at the Liberty Bowl. Okay, Mike Leach, year 2. When they went on the road, remember, guys, last November to Georgia in Athens, they only had 46 players on the roster. Mike Leach got rid of a lot of players, but Kyrie Hill, running back out of Columbus, Mississippi, was one of the best runners in the SEC. He bailed. A lot of these guys quit during the season. I know some coaches will say, when I get my players in here, we're going to be a lot better. I like what Bruce Pearl said when he came to Auburn. He said, look, these are my players. I'm not going to come out and say that. These are my guys. We're going to go with what we got. That's the way you got to do it. And I'm looking at, say, Sam Pittman, what he's doing at Arkansas. He's building that offensive lineup. Arkansas right now is sitting in the best position that they've ever been in since recruiting rankings have been released on the June 4th. It's scary. I told people, just knowing what I know about this staff and the way they do things, Sam Pittman is one of the best offensive line coaches in the last decade. And he's got a staff of coaches with deep roots in the deep South. Okay. And we're going to be next Friday, guys. Billy and Jimmy's going to be down there with us. And Gordon, if you can come on. We're going to be over in the Classic City, Athens, GA. Next Friday, we're going to lunch with Lauren Smith since 1972, sideline reporter, the first one really in college football history. Still on the Georgia Football Network from Wrightsville, Georgia. We're going to get to visit with Lauren Smith, who we have on Sidelines a lot. We're going to be in Athens. We're going to do Sidelines next Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Central, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern time zone. Billy, I know you started your college career at Georgia, and then you transferred down to the Plains of Auburn. But it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys, everybody is talking about what Georgia did this past week with the portal. Got a big 5-star from Clemson. Got another 5-star from LSU, who's in Florida for a week, as Jimmy referenced, Gilbert. But, I mean, if Georgia – what are Georgia fans – we're going to be asking this question in Athens next week. But I'll throw it to you, Billy. What are Georgia fans going to do if they lose to Clemson and they get in the SEC championship game, and most likely it'll be Alabama, and they end up 11-2? Now, you remember Auburn in 2017 was number 2 in the college football playoff rankings, going in with 2 losses for the rematch with Georgia, and they lost 28-7. But what are Georgia fans? What's the mental state right now? You're there in Atlanta of the Georgia fan base. I mean, they've got it so good, but they want that national championship. They pack Sanford Stadium, Vince Dooley Field every game. But what is it that they want? And at what point will they be? Look at the record. First 5 years, Mark Richt, Kirby Smart. Billy, I'm handing the ball off to you. Don't fumble it. Yeah. Gordon, Georgia it's really, that's an overused cliche, but it's true. They're so embarrassment of riches, whatever you want to call it. They're stacked with talent. Doesn't look like George, but it doesn't look like George Pickens, the receiver out of Hoover, is going to play again for Georgia. Tore his ACL. He's going to have surgery. He'll probably be gone this year, rehabbing, get ready for the NFL. That's another thing that I hate. Kid has a good freshman year, a couple of good games. His sophomore year, he's got agents already, blowing in his ear. In the third year, he decides he's going to go to some training facility to get ready for the NFL. Scared man never want to fight. Gordon, let's look at it. Georgia, stacked. Florida, what, 25 guys quit on that team at the bowl game last year? No, they're not. They're not. But Gordon, here's one we're not talking a lot about. Let's go up on the hill to Knoxville. 107,000 Tennessee fans when the Pride of the Southland band forms that giant T and the Vols come marching and running onto the field, led up front by a man in a coonskin hat with a musket and Smokey the Hound. What is going on with Tennessee football? Let's look at some numbers. 2001. Yeah. Is Tennessee going to? Yeah, we don't. Allegedly. Keep that in mind. Allegedly. Yes. But here's I'll say this. December 8th, 2001. Tennessee football players are coming in with the Vol Walk at that time at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta to play a 3-loss LSU team in Nick Saban's second year. And they win that game most likely. They're going to play in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena against Miami. And that was a really, really strong Miami team. I don't know if they would have won or not. But that would have been twice in 4 years that Tennessee had played for the national championship. But that's the last time in the post-2001 season Tennessee's finished ranked in the top 5 or top 10. From 1936 to 2004, nearly 70 years, Tennessee only had 7 losing seasons. And in that 75-year period right in there, Tennessee had the best record in college football of any team in America. From 2005 to 2020, 16 years. I just did the math, Jethro. Tennessee has had 9 losing seasons in the last 16 years. You know, maybe you forced Phil Fulmer out too early. Yeah. Well, Lane Kiffin didn't give him a chance. He was there 1 year, guys. I mean, yeah. Oh, God. I don't think – oh. Dooley's problem was he thought, you know, what was he, a magna cum laude graduate from Virginia? Thought he was too good for Tennessee. You know, if you're the football, like let's look at it. 1977, after Bill Battle was forced out at Tennessee, been there what, 7 years? Okay, well he went and started collegiate licensing, and I think he sold that 4 or 5 years ago for over $100 million to take over as athletic director at Alabama. So Bill Battle, hey man, more power to you. Okay, but Johnny Majors comes in there in 1977, and then he has the heart surgery. We all know the story. November of '92, Philip Fulmer from Winchester, Tennessee, takes over, and then after he left, you had 1 year of Lane Kiffin, 3 years of Dooley, 5 years of Butch Jones. And I was in Jonesboro Monday on the way back from the Spring River. Went up to Arkansas State campus, and that's where Audrey went to school. And by the way, guys, she was married when she was in college. We were in Arkansas State. She went to Arkansas State
For 1 year.
and for 1 year. And her house, there were some bricks missing, and she hit the bricks with her car. We went by the house. They're still missing. That's unbelievable. I mean, how did you do that, Audrey? Please don't do it with my vehicle. But I think about Butch Jones. I think he's going to be a much better coach. 3 years in the Saban Rehab Center in Tuscaloosa. But I just Tennessee, some bad chancellors, all this crazy stuff going on, bad ADs, and also I think a lot of hangover from what went on up there for years with women's basketball was so strong. You have Lady Vols and you have just the Vols. Why not just have the Vols? I think there's a lot of duplication in the athletic department. I think they need to be all orange all the time, all Vols. That's anything less than that is unacceptable. Billy, we're talking about Tennessee right now, but are you with us? I mean, how can you screw that up? The 9th winningest program in the history of college football, 3rd or 4th most bowl games of anybody in college football history. I mean, Tennessee screwing that up. I use this line a lot. But remember what the Big E, Ernie McCracken, said, one of the greatest comb-overs of all time in the movie Kingpin. He told Roy Munson, he said, man, you're on a gravy train with biscuit wheels. And he screwed it up. Okay? Billy, your thoughts?
What? It's almost over.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah. Yeah. Okay, Gordon, we're going to let you bounce on out of here right now. Thank you. Hey, right now, Gordon Ford, Iberia Bank, does the home mortgages. Been doing radio for 33 years with Gordon. Give him a call. He knows what he is doing. He's an Ole Miss Rebel, but he's a fan of anyone who needs to buy a home. That's your guy. Hey, but Billy, again, you talk about some programs become toxic, radioactive. Tennessee has everything that you need to succeed. Now, you can argue that Tennessee's success under Fulmer was when South Carolina wasn't rolling. It was pre-Spurrier. You can talk about him being able to go into Georgia in the late 90s and get guys like Deion Grant, Jamal Lewis out of Decatur, Georgia, Southwest DeKalb, Cozy Coleman. I mean, that was because Georgia had Jim Donnan there. Either way, out of Fairburn, Georgia, Creekside High School, home of the Medieval Renaissance Festival. I used to cover that as a reporter for WRBL Channel 3 in Columbus. But you think about it, guys, and it's really, to me, it's amazing. How in the world if you can't win at Tennessee, it just makes me think that, either you're an idiot, you're not trying, or you don't have the full support of the administration. If you have the full support of the administration and you can keep the boosters at bay to where they're not on the sidelines yelling in your ear and telling you what plays to call, you can be successful. Every program has one or two boosters that are really well known, okay? But more than anything, you've all got to be rowing in the same direction. Think about this picture. You ever see those documentaries? United States Navy SEAL Training Class 234. Look it up on YouTube. I think I got the class right. They get in those rubber Zodiac boats. You got a coxswain on the front of the boat looking back. You got 3 guys on each side rowing. Remember those scenes, guys, where they're trying to row out over the surf in the Pacific Ocean there at Coronado Beach? And there's a 5-star hotel there, the Royal Coronado. People are up there watching these guys out there, rolling in the sand. They call it a sugar cookie. First 2 weeks is called Hell Week. All you got to do is ring that bell 3 times, you can quit. And, they push them to the absolute max. But look at those scenes where they're rowing, and they tell them, they say, until you're all rowing and pulling in the same direction, we're not going to get over the surf. We're going to keep getting swamped and thrown back up on the shore, people scattered everywhere, oars and hats and people just getting body slammed into the sand. That's what it takes to win in anything. We're going to focus on Tennessee football, okay? No excuse for Tennessee not to have one of the best programs in America, okay? It takes leadership. I have a lot of friends that are Tennessee fans. And you can say, I heard it said the other day, we don't have to have Texas to be good for college football. You can argue, do we need Tennessee? Do we need Alabama? Well, what you need is for an absolute commitment from your administration, your coaches, obviously your players. They've got to buy in. Your fans. And we better be careful with this transfer portal stuff, because fans can do the same thing. They can play the snowflake game, okay? They can check their pair in at the door. They can just say, I give up. I'm tired of going 8-4, 9-3. I want to go undefeated every year. You know what? Really, do you want those kind of fans coming over to pull for you? Because what's going to happen the first time you have a crappy season? Billy, wouldn't you agree? I don't know where people are going with this, but I will say this much. What we've been talking about today, we'll be back on tomorrow morning, 8 to 10 a.m. We're out of town. We're going to be doing www.sidelines.live, 8 to 10 a.m. Saturday morning. And again, Sunday afternoon. I'm going to be adding more weekdays, and we're going to be getting into that, doing some time changes and all. But, hey, go to our website, www.sidelines.live. We're broadcasting live today from Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. They're open again 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Service department on Saturdays opens at 7 until 12:30. Austin Futural just did the oil service on my truck, and they will be there again all day, well, at least until 12:30 tomorrow. Take your vehicle in, get it serviced. If you want to get a Ford Bronco, get on the